All right, hello kids. Welcome to our third edition of Flip Video. Today's short story is The Telltale Heart by Edgar Allan Poe. So with this story, like in the others, it's going to be important that we really focus in on identifying the theme within this story, right? And so when we look to identify the theme, we're looking to identify what the author's message about life is, right? And what we should take from that message. Theme is often subjective, meaning it is more opinion-based in textual evidence. There is rarely a single correct answer for the theme. However, you can't just say anything, right? You must base your answer in the text. Okay, some tips on how to identify the theme would be to obviously read the story, think about single word topics, right? An example here is Romeo and Juliet, right? It deals with love, friendship, loyalty, etc. And figure out what the author is saying about that single word or subject. Okay, so two examples here is Shakespeare is saying that love can overcome the most difficult situations, or he's saying that petty differences can often create terrible consequences. The Telltale Heart is a very ironic story concerning different topics of paranoia, insanity, murder, obsession, and friendship, kind of. So before you begin, you should know the story leaves out a lot of info. The author is very intentional on being unintentional in what he is telling you. So context clues are a must for you to pay attention to. What is an inference? It's in your brain and what's on the page, right? So you take the two and deduce what you think the author is talking about. So an example, if you buy wrapping paper and candles and a card, what can you infer, right? You obviously can infer that it might be someone's birthday. So if I say some key terms such as Simba, Mufasa, Scar, and Timon, you're going to make a reference, or an inference, right? If I start talking about Ford, Civic, VW, Bentley, another inference. Happy, sad, joyful, angry, another inference, okay? Obviously, the correct answers to these would be Lion King, Cars, and Emotions, right? I never explicitly said these things, but you all made inferences from the details that I gave you. The Telltale Heart, like I said, it's a story by Edgar Allan Poe, and at the end of the story, someone ends up dead, someone ends up crazy, and someone just does not know when to shut up. The characters include an unreliable narrator, an old man, the police, and a noisy neighbor. So a very important term to keep in mind is paranoia. Severe distrust of others, thinking everyone is against you. An example of this could be if you are in a big crowd, right? You could be paranoid that if something weird happens, say a terrorist event, that you won't be able to get out and get to safety. Setting, most of the story takes place in a large old house and during the middle of the night. The story begins in an unknown place, so it's important that you really pay attention to the context clues to make an inference on where the narrator might be and what he is trying to convince other people of. So why do we infer he's crazy? Because he constantly tries to convince the audience that he is not crazy. So he's also very obsessive about his own sanity, right? And only crazy people constantly talk about how sane they really are. The narrator also obsesses over the old man's cataract, right? And a cataract is a medical condition in which the lens of an eye becomes progressively changed, right? The color changes and it causes blurred vision. The third obsession is the old man's heartbeat. The narrator constantly thinks that he can hear the old man's heartbeat, right? So tomorrow in class, I am willing to bet that you probably cannot hear anyone's heartbeat, right? Another indication that the narrator could be mentally unstable. So the rich old man that the narrator is obsessing over, like I said, has a cataract and hires the narrator to assist him with day-to-day things. Inference interruption. The narrator takes care of the old man. We are never told for sure, but we must infer it, right? So again, pay attention to the context clues. So the police arrive at the end of the story, and like I said, someone ends up dead, and someone ends up crazy. So the mood is set by the different descriptions the narrator is giving the reader, and you all will need to pay very close attention to the descriptions of noises that the author is creating. So as you read, pay attention to the descriptions, pay attention to the indirect characterization of the narrator and the old man. Some closing notes. The passage of time is not really mentioned a lot, so it'll be important for you to try to see how many hours or days or months have gone by, and also pay close attention to the different noises that the author begins to tell the reader about. And finally, the topics to help you create your theme statements that you'll need to focus on will be discovery, sanity versus insanity, cleverness, and guilt. All right, so that's it for today's edition of Telltale Heart Flip Video. Hope you enjoy. We'll see you next time.